If you've been told to just cut carbs and everything will sort itself out, you're not alone. For some women, low carb feels like a miracle. For others, it feels like the body suddenly stops cooperating. So let's talk honestly about what's really going on and how to use low carb in a way that actually works for you and works for your hormones instead of against them. Perimenopause isn't just about your periods or your periods changing. It's a full body hormonal shift. Estrogen becomes unpredictable, progesterone drops, cortisol gets louder, and your insulin sensitivity often worsens. And that means your body processes food very differently than it did in your 20s and 30s. What used to just work suddenly doesn't, and that can feel incredibly frustrating. Now, here's where low carb can help. For many women in perimenopause, insulin resistance is part of the picture. When insulin stays high, weight loss becomes difficult no matter how clean you're eating. Reducing carbohydrates can lower your insulin quickly, can stabilize your blood sugar, can help the hunger quieten down and the cravings ease. And that's why so many women feel better almost immediately when they start a low carb diet. It gives them more control, more clarity, less constant thinking about food. And if that's been your experience, you're not alone and you're not imagining it. Your physiology is responding. But this is the part that rarely gets talked about. Low carb can backfire in perimenopause when stress is already high. Very low carb combined with long fasting, poor sleep, heavy training can put pressure and push your cortisol up. And cortisol isn't a fat loss hormone. When your cortisol rises, your body shifts into protection mode and your fat loss slows down, your belly fat becomes a lot more stubborn, sleep gets disrupted even more, and energy feels wired but tired. And if you're waking at 3 or 4 in the morning, feeling cold, feeling edgy, feeling stuck, despite doing everything right, that's not a lack of willpower. That's your nervous system asking for support. And this is where the approach needs to change. Perimenopause doesn't respond well to extremes. It responds better to strategy. Instead of pushing carbs low as possible, many women do feel better with a moderate low carb approach. Enough to keep your insulin calm, but not so low that your cortisol is going to start spiking. And that might look like prioritizing protein first, eating carbohydrates earlier in the day, pairing your carbs with fiber and healthy fats, being flexible across the month instead of rigid extremes or rigid approach every single day. When cortisol starts settling, your insulin will follow. And when insulin settles, weight loss becomes possible again. And this is why tracking your energy, your sleep, and your mood often helps you more than the scales ever will. Your body gives you feedback constantly. You just have to listen instead of forcing it. Is low carb good for perimenopause? Yes, when it lowers insulin without raising stress. No, when it becomes another form of restriction. Your hormones just can't tolerate. Your body isn't broken, it's adaptive. And once you start working with that, everything gets easier. And if this has helped you understand what's actually kind of going on for you and happening in your body, stay with me. This channel is about realistic, sustainable health in midlife, no extremes, no nonsense, just physiology that makes sense.